こんにちは、増田です。今ですね、山口の、情報芸術センター、通称 YCAM でですね、面白い展覧会をやっています。食と倫理リサーチ展覧会、The Flavour of Power。これを見に行きたいと思います。インドネシアのアーティスト集団がプロデュースして作ったとてもユニークな我々にとっては意味の深い展覧会です。それでは行きましょう。そう。まずバルトさん、can you introduce yourself a little bit?
So yeah, my name is Barto. I'm a curator from Indonesia. I joined YCAM in 2019. So like 4 years ago, perhaps. And yeah, my main job at this institution is usually making exhibition or programs that related with the visual arts and some projects that working with communities as well.
What was the motivation as an Indonesian to come?
So yeah, it's a bit rare, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't really have a, like particular motivation at the beginning. So the way I started working here, I received invitation from my friend that YCAM is looking for curators, and then I know some of the staff here before. When I was doing like internship at Hiroshima Gendai Bijutsukan. So I come here at the first time and I know some people here. So then after that they sending me like, YCAM looking for new curators. And yeah, so I just like apply without any expectation. Because I know like in Japan, art institution is quite rare to have like foreigners working as like curators. Especially, I know YCAM is a public institution, so it's a little bit more difficult, I think, for foreigners.
So is this the first exhibition that is related to Indonesia?
In a sense, yes. In a sense, yes. But in 2021, I did another exhibition with other Indonesian collective. But that exhibition is mainly talking about education in general, like how different education in Japan, in Indonesia. Yeah, I think this is the first one that really directly focusing in Japan and Indonesia relations.
So could you just tell us very shortly what is the theme of this exhibition?
The theme of the exhibition is basically talking about food and power. It was part of a bigger project called Food and Ethics Research, which is also again trying to understanding a different aspect of food, especially through like our ethical values. So yeah, during the research process, we kind of like developing conversation with the artists, and I think Bakudapan, the artist that joining in this exhibition, they're quite interested to see how food and colonialism is always related, and then within that sense also like how it affecting our food system nowadays. So then yeah, the theme is everything, like all the two artworks here, it's talking about how food and power is related to each other. So it's kind of
yes, I really think it's very unique to find out the relationship with the political power and food. And something happened right now, it's something like that. I mean, the war, many things happened. the poor people cannot eat anything.
Yes, yes, yes.
Happens. And you have a great card game.
Yeah.
Developed by whom?
Yeah, it's also developed by Bakudapan. So actually at the beginning, what I'm proposing to the artist is actually just the works in the Studio B, only the installation. But then I was thinking maybe it will be nice to have a different entry points for the visitor, because I realized that the works that we presented in the Studio B is quite like dark in a sense. Like maybe many people in Japan, they don't want to deal with this historical narratives anymore, or they don't know about it. So then I asked Bakudapan to if it's possible for us to bring this card game as a bridge. So because this card game is talking about contemporary food problems, and then after they play, they look at the Studio B, and then they found out like, okay, so all of this thing it's happening because this situation happened in the past. So yeah, then so the game was being developed by Bakudapan and one game designer, game developer in Indonesia.
When?
I think it's around 2021.
Oh, I see. Oh, so it's new.
It's new.
But I played the game. It's about the politics or the government.
Yeah.
And the merchandiser,
Yes.
or the distributor, and two farmers.
Yes.
There's no consumer.
Yeah. There's no consumer in that. I think because we discussed about that as well. Like where's the consumer in here? Like, so I think from Bakudapan point of view, the consumer is us who never understood.
Well, all the guys
players,
are players consumer at the same time.
Yes.
And well, how's the reaction from Japanese visitors to see the video?
Yeah, that's quite interesting questions. The reaction is quite varies. But I haven't received anything that's like critical enough.
Oh.
Like people didn't say like, oh, I don't like this exhibition because this and that. But then I think most of the people that comment was they feel these two artworks, it's like contrast in a sense, like this one is very colorful, cartoonish, looks alike. But then when you go to the Studio B inside,
Quite serious.
it's become like very serious, dark, and then like very intense. That's the most common sense things that I receive, and that's why then we are thinking like maybe tomorrow or like within this week we want to put like another signage to tell them like the content probably quite serious and intense, so just be aware of that. But another another thing that I receive is like there's a lot of questions about whether colonialism is having double effect, in a sense like, okay, the war is bad, but then within the war there's kind of like in this exhibition we talk about like rice breeding development, agricultural system. Like some people is kind of like do you think this is also good because you bring like new technology to the place? So then I need to kind of like explain in the basic terms, because I think not many people, like maybe not so many people in Japan like understood the concept of colonialism from the perspective of like the victim. So I explain in a sense like I tell them like, so you imagine you have a house where you kind of like decorating by yourself, you build by yourself, and then one day someone, not knowing who, coming and then say like, oh, your house looks okay, like, but I have more knowledge, I have more better idea to rearrange these things. So then this person come and then change the whole thing in your house. Of course, then it looks good. Like they bring their idea, but it's still not your own knowledge. So then they kind of like, oh yeah, so that's how it is. Like yeah. So it's not about it's become good or it's become bad. It's about like someone invading your territory, and then kind of like forcing you to do something. And another thing that I receive is also like the questions about whether this exhibition or this artwork it's trying to like quote unquote like attacking Japan in a sense, but I think it's quite, how do you call it, it's quite short judgment, because like I think Bakudapan the artists also realize that they don't want to judge like Japan is wrong or you need to, of course it happened in the past. The thing is like if you never talk about this, you never know, like I mean this could be happen again. I mean it already happened now, Russia and Ukraine, or like some problem in Africa continents. So yeah, that's one of the, at least that's the three major things that I kind of encountered during this exhibition, which is good.
Okay, but I think the problem is quite clear, because human beings is of course one of the animals, so we have to eat to live, and if you have enough food, that's peaceful. But if not, you have to fight for the food.
Yes.
That's natural. But since we have borders, the politically it's limited, and then you have to sometimes ask for food or try to get it or whatever. And many things happens, and I'm quite sorry about the colonialism in the past. I hate it, and even my father was on a ship, and he didn't go to Indonesia, but he was on a battleship, and he hated, but he had to go. Well, what I want to say is that what's for us Japanese, we have a big problem in food in the future, now and the future, because the self-sufficiency is only 30-some%. It's almost killing ourselves. But what's the problem you have in Indonesia on food?
Well, wow, that's a lot in Indonesia. We have a lot, so many. But I think within that artwork also, like Bakudapan wants to show that like we go back to like the problem with colonialism. It's actually, I think it's not about like when it's happened, because it's happening, it's a historical fact, everything happens during the centuries. But then what makes it worse is then when the colonizer leaves, the locals, like in us as Indonesian, we took that idea of that, okay, so this could happen, and then we kind of like taking over that colonial aspect and then implementing it to our own how do you call it, like people. So I think one problem that Bakudapan also wants to highlight, it's about the Green Revolution. When Suharto, the second president, is trying to push Indonesia to be the rice barn of Southeast Asia by producing a lot of rice, and then he tried to force to make rice to be the main food, like the national food. Doesn't really care that there are some people living in different islands that eat like corn or cassava or many other carbohydrate source, but he want to force it. And then I think that's become like one of the biggest problem that we had until now. And the other thing is, of course,
you're losing diversity.
yes, one is losing diversity. That's why, like in the Hunger Tales game, we had one condition in the food crisis parameters called like monoculture, because it's become like everything it's the same, and then you kind of like cannot control. And also the idea of providing like destroying the forest and exchanging it with palm plantation.
Yeah.
Also like to extracting the money, and by doing so you kind of like destroying the natural habitats of like some people that still live in the forest. Then again, I think it's the same problem in Japan, like how we never actually pay enough attention to where the food is coming from. And then one of the idea that our current president had is to build a food estate in the Papua Island, which is, I think it's really a bad idea. But yeah, then again, I think in the upcoming years we will have a lot of more problems, because growing number of citizens, and then it means like you need to find a different source of food, like how do you get it. And another thing is like tempeh, like one of the most staple food. But actually, I think 95% of the soybean, it's coming from United States.
Oh my God, same as Japan.
because basically, Indonesian soil, it's not suitable for growing soybeans.
I see.
So maybe only 5% of that can be supplied using local resource. So but then like 90%, 95% of that soybean is like, it's like coming from United States. So yeah, I mean we had a lot of problems.
So what is your perspective or that perspective for the future? How could we control the situation, and how does the politics could work to control?
I think one of the conversations that we had within this like project, it's always about how to be enough. That's one thing. We discussed with some farmers around Yamaguchi. Kind of, we get a lot of like insight from them. Like the main idea is actually how to limit your consumption and just be enough. That's probably the first thing that you can do. But then also, like I think on the other scale, like we work with the YCAM Bio Research Lab. So we got some insight from like science fields about how perhaps science could help to tackle this consumption problem. So it will be also like, I will make another exhibition like after this project finish. It's also talking about this idea of like alternative foods, which is have its own problem right now.
Yes.
So we trying to, I think again, maybe it's sounds very naive, but I think it's again like how to feel enough with what we had, and then looking back again how we can, how do you say, how to be harmonized with nature.
Okay.
So I think that's the only thing that perhaps like every one of us can start to critically think
Now I understand why you eat once a day.
Yeah, that's also like how to be.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Now people will understand more about the very beautiful yoga. Is it okay that we show?
Yeah. Sure. The artist didn't put any copyrights.
It's not easy for the old Japanese to visit here.
Yeah, I think so. But,
Alhamdulillah, Asia sekarang telah dikembalikan kepada bangsa Asia. Marilah kita bekerja untuk persatuan bersama di Asia Timur Raya ini. Harapan para Chinese, 1 tahun, 2 tahun, 3 tahun, 4 tahun, 5 tahun, 6 tahun, 8 tahun. Ternyatalah bukan 8 tahun, saudara-saudara. Bukan 8 bulan, bukan 8 masa, tetapi hanya 8 hari saja selama untuk anak. Kita bersilang hati sekali yang semua saudara-saudara tadi sudah bawa ini padi ke dalam pabrik. Maka itu mulai ini harilah semua padi yang ada di mana kita punya desa, sesudahnya kita pakai sendiri, selainnya kita lekas kirim ke pabrik. Sebab kalau padi kita bawa ke pabrik berarti kita menyokong kepada pemerintah. Sekarang kita punya barisan pembela tanah air sudah beribu-ribu. Jika kita di barisan belakang tidak bekerja potong dari bumi, bersama kami juga pada potong royong. Pintu dan buka kami saling bantu tolong. Dalam Sokai diputuskan dengan suara bulat bahwa semua anggota akan menolong menanam padi buat anggota-anggota yang sakit. Demikianlah segenap anggota berusaha gotong royong dengan sukarela. Sekarang kekuasaan Angkatan Darat Negara Jepang.
Yeah, I mean, anytime the exhibition will run until 25th of June 2023. We still have the card game people can play. Anytime you can see the exhibition installation, and we will have, I mean, another curators here. We will have another exhibitions, also talking about the colonial relationship between Japan and Taiwan. And they're talking about sugar, so it's also kind of overlapping with the theme of food. So yeah, I mean, take your time during the summer to visit Yamaguchi again.
Okay, thank you very much.